Hello and welcome to Lunch Therapy, sometimes known as Commando Tuesday. We are here. I've got an incredible show for you today. I've got even an agenda because I've got so many things that I want to go over with y'all today. I've got breaking news. I've got wildlife therapy. We're going to talk about the father of modern hypnotism. And then, appropriately, right after that, we're going to talk to Richard Gadas. Richard Gadas has a show this Saturday night. He is a singer. He is an actor. He is an improv artist and many, many other things. So we're going to bring him on here today. Howard Aronin is here. Hello, Howard. So great to see you. Hello, everybody. Hi. Hi, everyone. Hi. Beautiful birds. Yes, I have some beautiful birds here. This is the pre-show. We haven't even begun the show yet, and we already have gorgeous birds here with us today. Blas is going to be here, I hope. I don't know. I mean, it seems like he was going to be here, but I haven't seen him yet. Richard is in the green room with Boney. He's going to be coming on later in the show. Who knows what he's going to be like after spending that much time with Boney? We're going to find out. We're going to find out. The agenda, yes, this is a new thing. The agenda, I can't control it. I don't know how it works yet, but gives you an idea of what's happening on the show. And this show is called Lunch Therapy, so let's get into this thing. Hoy, Guy Floy, how is your oi? Oh no, giving warnings. Yes, so look at the peaceful ocean, just uninterrupted by my big face. It's a huge show. Yeah, there's going to be a report from Just Jay. We've been worried about Just Jay because the COVID got her, and hopefully she's feeling much better. But we are going to get a report from her today, and so that's good to hear. Isn't that a beautiful ocean? So this ocean is done by, we had him on the show, Chris Williams. If you recall, he is my doppelganger, my brother from another mother, and he lives, God knows where he lives, somewhere. I don't know. I forget where he lives, but he does these beautiful t-shirts. Not the one I'm wearing right now. The one I'm wearing right now is Jared and the Mill. This is just a fun band that we performed with in Arizona. So Chris Williams sent me some waves that we could breathe by. So Richard, they're in the green room. Boney, you can pretend to breathe. You don't have any lungs, so it's sort of a pretending kind of thing. And Blas and anybody else out there, in through the nose, out through the toes. Hold it. This is, of course, the most important part of the show. Let it go. The breathing part of the show, because we got to get some oxygen into our lungs. I'm going to also turn off the noise canceling so we can really hear the breath. Hold it. Let it go. Yell. I've got some explaining to do for y'all today after we do the breathing. Holy player one. Gunnell sent me a thing about how to tell what kind of hummingbird you have, and it was by the tail feathers, and God knows I do not understand it. Maybe I'll show it later on in the show. Maybe we can decipher it. I don't know how you can even watch those little buggers, they're so small and they're so quick and their wings go so fast. How can you analyze them? In through the nose, out through the toes. Let it go. So at the top of the show here, I want to address something from last Friday's show. So I need to, Bonnie, could you change the background to something appropriate? There we go. There we go. All right. Could you make me just a little bigger, Boney? I don't know. I don't know what's going on with Boney lately. He's just. Have you guys seen him lately? He is so cool now. He's just. Wears like clothes like. I don't know. He looks like Jimi Hendrix. Last time I saw him, he has like super cool clothes, like a fedora. Really, really kind of coming into his own. So, you know. I'm gonna give him a round of applause. We got to have him back on the show because he's been doing so much behind the scenes work. We haven't had him on the screen. But before we get into the show, I would like to address what happened last week. As you know, I interviewed the Psychedelic Society of Port Townsend, Washington, and some of you came back at me, during the show and then over the weekend, saying that you thought I was somewhat dorky and was perhaps a square. Yes. And so I'd like to address that right now. I mean, it is possible that I am a square. I am certainly a computer geek. That's one thing. But, there were some people that thought I was perhaps ignorant of the whole psychedelic experience or journey. Some thought that I was maybe being irreverent of the people because I was constantly referring to psychedelic experiences as tripping or going on a trip or tripping balls, which I now know is not appropriately reverential to those who imbibe the psilocybin. Perhaps I was making a judgment on them. I don't know. And yeah, I mean, maybe I was, but I don't feel like they gave me an alternative kind of way to refer to tripping. I mean, the only thing that they said was that they were going on a journey. And I mean, isn't journey just another word for trip? Am I right? I think I'm right. I don't know what the chat room has to say. We're going to have to look at that in a minute. I will admit that I am much more cautious or even fearful than perhaps they are. Maybe I am a square. Maybe it's with good reason because I feel like I'm tripping already. You know what I mean? It's not them that I don't trust. It's not the shrooms that I don't trust. It is me. I don't trust me on shrooms. I just don't. Some of you have been with me, throughout my career. And you might, think like, I don't know if I want that guy to be on shrooms. I mean, it could just be a terrible story. He is yelling. Am I yelling? You're a square. Moving on. Maybe because you feel like dorky and square. Oh my God. Just Jay and the COVID. I'm yelling. I'm sorry I'm yelling. I'm the designated driver. Thank you very much. Fuck him, Joel. Got a great trip on shrooms. I wish I could do the chat as I do this. But, the thing is I don't trust myself on shrooms. I'm not going to do shrooms. I probably am not going to do them ever. It's just probably going to go through my whole life just trying to get at, that feeling of enlightenment or that breakthrough feeling through meditation and through other means. I mean, when I was interviewing them, it kind of reminded me of a while back when I used to do the podcast Fat Free Film. And at this time it was called Film Shots. And it was really a podcast about filmmaking and raw food, which I know it's groundbreaking. Dr. Jesse Rines was my co-host. Some of you listened to this back then. Well, this particular episode was episode 21, and Steve Nemeth was the producer of this delightful film called Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. Maybe some of you have seen it. Starring the absolutely reasonable Johnny Depp. And, we were talking about it. And I described I guess it was another time where I described my inappropriate experience watching the film Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. I don't know if you all have seen it. But I'm going to play that. I'm going to play a little excerpt from it today. Probably at great peril to myself. Here it is.
For instance,
tell us about that. I saw that film, and I thought it was an amazing film, and I'm a big Terry Gilliam fan. But afterwards, I was ill. I felt a little bit nauseous because it affected me in such a way, and I think it's just because I felt like these guys were on a bender,
maybe you're a pussy.
Yeah, maybe I'm a pussy. That's a good possibility.
Actually, I think there was a line in there that said something like, "Not for the faint of heart," and maybe it's even in the book.
Yeah, it could be me. Could be me.
Yes, it was directed towards you, Joel.
So anyway, I'm used to this kind of experience. I'm used to it. I'm used to being called a square. It's fine with me. It's totally fine. By the way, I'm still screaming. But one of our viewers and contributors, Todd Lee, who is here today, recommended that I see the film Fantastic Fungi. Fantastic Fungi. It's on Netflix. Fantastic Fungi is a great film, I must say. It's all about mushrooms. Fantastic Fungi, I might add, is a great way to describe me. The film was mind-altering. Can I say that? Am I allowed to say mind-altering? Fantastic Fungi was about this incredible world of mushrooms and mold and spores and mycelium. If you thought jellyfish were cool, mushrooms are like jellyfish on shrooms. They are even described as the lungs of the earth. Apparently the mycelium is like, it permeates the earth, and it is like a network that goes through the earth, sort of like the internet, but it has been around so long. Long before Al Gore purchased his first Casio watch or his first Texas Instrument calculator. Long before that, in fact, mushrooms are apparently like the oldest organisms on Earth, and they have survived, when the dinosaurs went extinct and, like a meteor hit the Earth. These things were fine. They're down there doing their networking. So this network of mycelium, it allows trees to communicate with each other and then transfer the nutrients that they need from one tree to another. So like one tree needs, some sugar, and the other tree, gives it to them. And it's even better than the internet, because you could pass actual objects back and forth. And I think it's a testament to trees that they're much cooler than humans, because I have never heard of an incident where a tree got a phishing email from another tree, or maybe one tree airdropped nude pictures of trees to all the other trees. They don't abuse the network like the internet. I don't know if you heard about this, but there was an airplane, and then some idiot on the airplane airdropped nude pictures to everybody on the plane. The pilot was like, "Hey, I'm going to turn this thing around if you guys don't stop sending those nude pictures." And apparently they stopped, because they were going to Cabo or someplace. So back to Fantastic Fungi. Fantastic Fungi has a fantastic fun guy in the movie. He's this charming fellow from Olympia, Washington. Let me see if I can put him on the screen here. He's not here today. God, wouldn't that be great if I just all of a sudden was like, and he's here today. But he's not here today. His name is Paul Stamets. This is him with a giant mushroom. I highly recommend you watch this film. He also has a TED Talk where he talks about mushrooms and the incredible benefits of mushrooms beyond the psilocybin. But he did have a psilocybin experience, and his experience was he was a stutterer as a kid. I'm going to ruin this part of it. He was a stutterer as a kid, and I'm going to probably misexplain this, but he bought some mushrooms, and he'd never done any of this stuff before, but he had read this book, and the book was so interesting about it, and he loaned it to his friend, and his friend's dad burned the book, and he was like, wow, if this thing is so powerful that the dad would burn my book, then I better read this thing. So he got a packet of mushrooms, and he ate the whole thing. And apparently, I mean, I've never done mushrooms, but apparently you don't eat a whole bag of mushrooms. But he did, and he was just a kid. And he climbed up into a tree, and there was a storm coming, and all this thunder and lightning. And the last thing you want to do if you're in a storm is climb up in a tree. I just don't think it's good. And he all of a sudden realized this is not a good move, and he got stressed out, and he hugged the tree, just hugged onto the tree. And then he started saying in his mind, I'm not going to stutter anymore. 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 And he just kept saying it over and over again. And when he came out of that tree and when the storm was over, this is weird. He's walking by this beautiful girl that he knew. And she comes up, and he is always looking at the ground. This is why he got so into mushrooms. He's always looking at the ground. And he looked up, and he looked her right in the eye. And she said, good morning. And he said, good morning right back to her, and hasn't stuttered ever since. It's incredible. I'm giving you, you don't have to watch the movie, Jason, because I'm giving you the cliff notes. He's been trying to tell me about Paul. Yeah. Super good. Trees, I like what Chuck said. Trees are unassuming. Interesting statement. Definitely not a statement I've heard before, but I like it. I like it. So, so I'm not going to ruin the rest of the movie for you. It is just an incredible thing to watch. There's all kinds of other stuff that I won't get into. But now we're going to get into a little bit of therapy, because that's the kind of show this is. I can't possibly read all the comments. Hopefully they were seen on the screen while I was being too loud. Here we go. Here's Pam Palmieri's dog, Penny. Okay, I mean, this is not something I had on the agenda, but I want to show you. It's pretty cool. This is Penny taking a bath. It's super hot here in California. We're like burning up. I mean, literally burning up. There's like things on fire. Things are catching on fire. So definitely one of these pools is like a really good thing to have. And Penny, he appreciates it. Some of us don't appreciate pools. I have a kiddie pool like this. I haven't gotten into it all summer. So I'm going to make sure that I get in the pool today, maybe today. Here's another video of Penny cavorting around in the backyard. I know that this is, therapeutic for y'all, and, I'll let you enjoy that. That's the video. Jason says that's the video they want to see. Yeah, of course it is. Of course it is. Yeah, I love it. I mean, I can't show you the mushroom movie. You're going to have to watch that on your own, but this is kind of better. Kind of better, right? Okay, now I've got some breaking news for you. Here we go. Getting into it. Breaking news. This is some important stuff, and I think maybe I'm going to have to catch Richard Gadas up on this, because he hasn't seen this, but this is an ongoing saga that's occurring. We've got Just Jay, comedian Just Jay. She's doing a puzzle, and we were really encouraging her. I'm not sure where Blas is right now. Blas is supposed to be here with me. The dog looks funny in that small ass pool. I mean, I don't know if Blas is having some kind of internet problem. I don't know what's going on. But the thing about this is Just Jay was doing, this is long before she caught COVID. She was doing a puzzle and she was, wondering whether she should continue. She was doing it on a table. She needed to move the table. It's super difficult puzzle because all the pieces they look the same. They look the same. And the other thing that makes it super difficult is the puzzle is extremely ugly. It has the most ugly, I mean, maybe I'm making a judgment here. Maybe this is another time where people are going to be like, Joel, you're being too judgy. But to me, it's a hideous, hideous puzzle. And so that makes it even harder to focus on. Let's see Joel in a small-ass pool. We're going to have to see that. Blas is waiting for you, he said, to let him on the eCam. I don't see him. He's not there. It's just not happening. I don't know. I'm not sure why. I would let him on if I could. But this is the technical, weird shit that happens on Lunch Therapy. So anyway, we're moving on. We're going to find out. Just Jay has a report on the puzzle. So she persevered through everything that has been thrown at her. She has persevered. And this is the puzzle today.
Hi, everybody. I thought it was important as I suffer through my COVID that I show you the progression I have made on the puzzle. Now, as you can see, I'm still missing the goat's nose. But look at this. There's that couple who I thought was a mom and a daughter.
There's all that debate on whether this was a mom and a daughter.
And then I got this mess in this middle.
Yeah, sending out good vibes.
So that's where I'm at, Blas and Joel. I don't know.
Joel, though.
I'll make some more progress, but I think I'm going to do it. My one girlfriend said, I think you need to throw it away and get a different puzzle out. No, cannot do that.
Did you hear that? Like her friend said, you should throw it away. And, you can't do that. Once you start a puzzle, I think there's some kind of rule, right? That once you start it, you gotta finish it, right? Isn't that that's what we do here? Great job, Jay. Yeah, that's really impressive. So that's a round of applause for Jay. We're looking forward to seeing the finished product. I don't know, if she's going to... Sometimes you can glue them and frame them, although that puzzle, I think I'd put it in the garage, someplace where, I don't see it a lot. But I would, feel still when I went out to the car to get the, in the garage, I could look up and be like, oh yeah, I finished that monumental task. So I'm going to do a little wildlife therapy. I have been threatening to talk about this guy, Anton Mesmer, for a long time. But I've got Gadas in the green room, and I'm starting to get worried about Boney and his influence on my guests, because sometimes he gets them to... Let's just say that Boney has, some mushrooms, okay? Let's just say that. And I don't, when I get a guest on the show and they're like tripping, or not tripping, going on a journey, when they're going on a journey and it's not the lunch therapy journey, it's, so let's just do the wildlife therapy now. Let's see. Tina Adams says, way to go, Jay. Danielle said, way to go. You've done amazing work. Yeah, it's really incredible, the perseverance. Someday you're going to be able to move that table, which is great. Wildlife. Blas, I am checking it. It's just not there. Technology is failing us, but I've got Richard here, so that's cool. I mean, that's really all I need, I guess. I can only work with what I got, and that's a lot. I've got a lot. I got Richard Gadas. Did I tell you he's singing this Saturday night at 6:30? The doors open. 7:30 the show begins. There it is. This is Richard Gadas' show. He is a singer. He's going to tell stories about his life. And it's all going to be live at the Saint and Sinner Bar, which is straight out of some Bogart movie or something. I don't know. It's going to be like we're going back in time into the 1950s or something like that. Pulling the reins on those clownish trippers. I like the way Chuck backs me up. Blas needs to bone up on the eCam software. I'm sure Blas is so frustrated with me right now. If he has eCam open, perhaps that's what's causing the problem. I don't know, but I'm not going to worry about it right now, because if I talk about technical issues on the show, people are like, boring, snooze fest. I think I'm going to go to sleep. Look at that. That's not a lynx. That's not a lynx. Today we're talking about the lynx, and the plural of lynx is anyone? It's lynx. You could say lynxes. You could say lynxes, but who needs to say it? Why even say that extra syllable? You could say, do you know what a group of lynx are called? A group of lynx? Well, I looked around and it was difficult to find. And one of the things that I found, which was I thought was super interesting, is that a group of cats is called a destruction. I mean, who knew that? I don't know if that's true, because I found it on the farthest reaches of the internet. But I like it. A group of cats called a destruction seems pretty appropriate to me, right? And they have these cute, Kamala mentions, they have these cute short tails. The lynxes do. There are 4 types of lynxes. Oh, one other thing is, I think a group of lynx should be called a chain, right? Doesn't that make sense? That was something also someone said out there on the internet. I love it. Blas says, got your bone right here. Bone up. Okay. Well, now there's some agitation going on with Blas. And I would be agitated too if I'm trying to get on there and then it's just not working. And then the jackass on the screen is saying, I guess you just got to work on it. Just work on your skills. So anyway, there are 4 species of lynx, which is called, one is called the Canadian lynx. The other is called the Eurasian lynx, the Iberian lynx, and the bobcat. The bobcat is a lynx. So not all bobcats are lynx, not all lynx are bobcats. Just, to clarify there for you. Yep. They have a short tail, like Kamala was saying, cute little tail. I guess it's so it doesn't, get caught in anything. I think having a long tail gives you a problem. It's great for balance, of course. They have these big padded paws, and a lot of them, they live in really cold areas, right? It's super cold. So they have these big old paws to walk on the snow. I mean, they live, like the Eurasian lynx lives in Europe, Central Asia, and Siberia. And they like to live in the forests. So, there's a lot of mycelium there in the forests. But that's another story. It's a completely different story. Another trip, as it were. The Iberian lynx is very rare. It's, in fact, for a while there, it was the most endangered cat species in the world. But this is kind of a good story. Conservation has changed its status from critical to endangered. But, if it were to die out, it would be the first cat extinction since the Smilodon 10,000 years ago. 10,000 years ago, Smilodon was roaming the earth, and then it just disappeared. But cats in general are pretty resilient. I think that's why we say they have 9 lives, right? Yep. Judgy. Yes. I want one, of course. Can't have one. Of course, they have cats that are sort of similar to that people have as pets. Bobcat is probably the most prolific or most plentiful cat in the lynx family. It's in North America, southern Canada, U.S., northern Mexico. Lives in swamps, deserts, mountain areas. Has a spotted coat for camouflage. They even have them here. They have bobcats here. They have these ear tufts that stick up. They're called lynx tips. and they help them hear. They help them keep their ears clean. I would love to have them. They're sort of like the Vulcans of the cat family. It also helps direct sound into their ears. So before we get to Richard Gadas, I've got the Bobcats of Griffith Park. Calendar is coming out soon. These are Bobcat. This is actual Bobcat footage. Just Jay is speaking up about Blas. Blas was so instrumental in telling me how to line up the pieces of the puzzle. She really missed his input. It's sad, really. It's sad that we can't get him on. I don't know what's going on. Maybe I could bring him on in some other way. I don't know, Skype or something. But then, of course, that would probably freeze my computer, and then none of us would be on. And I got to get to Richard here. So we're going to get to Richard. These are some Bobcat. I'm moving it around. This is actual Bobcat footage from Griffith Park here in Los Angeles. This is, there's like a camera out in the woods that is set to see these Bobcats. And Pam, I want to say, Pam, who says judgy yes, I want to say thank you for the footage of Penny today, because that was very therapeutic. Whereas, it was right after I was yelling. And so it was really good to have like a nice, calm animal taking a bath. So I really appreciate that. So ladies and gentlemen, we are now going to get on to the headliner of the show. We're going to talk to Richard Gadas. He is getting ready to come on. Boney, don't give him that. Come on, Boney. He's about to go on. He can't eat peanut butter before. Anyway, enough about the behind the scenes. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Richard Gadas. Yes! Welcome to the show, Richard. It's so good to see you.
Thank you so much for having me, Joel. I'm very excited to be here, actually, and that was quite the introduction.
Wasn't that something? Oh my God! Did you see the gold items coming at you and your name like in the middle of the screen? Does that feel good? Does that feel good?
I need that for my show. I tell you, it would look great. Hey, an interesting tidbit, since you were talking about mycelium. I don't know if you watch Star Trek at all, but one of the latest versions of Star Trek Discovery, has a mycelium-based warp drive.
No way! Tell me more.
Yes, and it allows them to travel in a blink of an eye throughout the universe. And I don't understand the technology of it, but supposedly there's a mycelium that lives in subspace within the universe, and they've tapped into it. So it allows them to just blink in all over the universe. And so they can outrun everybody, basically.
Oh my God. And it makes sense because, the trees are moving things back and forth, moving nutrients back and forth through mycelium. So why not? Why not? And, I think that probably as we move along with technology will become more integrated with biology, because biology already has these incredible networks and these incredible, like the brain is so amazing. And if you were to integrate the two of them, biology and technology, I mean, it's just, it probably exponentially increases your abilities, right?
I think whether we like it or not, I think that's the direction we're going into the future. We're going to be genetically enhancing ourselves and also connecting ourselves technologically. So it'll be an interesting future, and humanity will look very different.
Guinel says, what the fuck is subspace? He says, is that a different dimension? What could go wrong?
That's, I'm not even sure subspace really exists.
Yeah.
It might be a fictional thing, but yes, it's a dimension within regular space that allows you to travel quickly through it. Are you a Trekkie? I actually am a Trekkie. Many years ago, I actually sold a story to Star Trek Voyager, and it was aired. It was called The Thaw, and it was a very early virtual reality story.
Really? So are you
season 3?
Season 3 of Voyager, The Thaw. We're gonna have to
Yeah.
check that out. Do you
It's-
consider yourself a futurist? Somebody that can see
I
into the
do.
future? Yeah.
I do. I'm a history buff,
Yeah.
and what I've discovered is history buffs tend to also be futurists because
Interesting.
futurists, it's all about, what the history of the world is going to be. So if you're mired in the history of the past, it's kind of natural to kind of, look into the future and say, well, where are we going?
Yeah.
This is where we've been. This is how it's affected us, and this is where we are now. And where are we going to be in 100 years? So they kind of, fit together, basically.
I like that. I think that's true. You learn more from the past about the future than one would guess. And that's why we study history, and that's why it's kind of a shame that people don't study history as much as they used to, it seems. Jason Edelman.
Frank Sinatra.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
Frank Sinatra was actually also a bit of a futurist.
What?
Yes, he was very interested in that type of thing.
Maybe Hedy Lamarr, but Sinatra? Really?
Yeah. He actually put out an album I think it was in the 70s called Yesterday, Today, and Tomorrow. And it was 3 album set, and the first album was his old hits. The middle album were the present hits from the 70s, and the third album was almost like a space opera where he was talking about traveling through space and going through different planets.
Fly me to the moon and let me play among the stars. Is that from that album?
No, that would have been in the past. These were brand new songs, and they were symphonic and almost operatic.
Wow.
It was incredible. But another interesting side note.
Yes, tell me.
In 1969, when Neil Armstrong and his team blasted off into space on their mission to land on the moon, they brought along an old Sony cassette deck. And Neil Armstrong slipped in a tape, and they played a song called In Other Words, also known as Fly Me to the Moon.
Really?
So Fly Me to the Moon was the first song ever to be played in outer space, and it was broadcast worldwide and became the theme song for the mission.
That's incredible. Okay, so someone in the chat room, Jason Edelman, mentioned that you have multiple hats behind you.
I do.
Tell us
Some
about
of these are actually most of these are actually my dad's hats.
Really?
My dad was quite the dapper dresser.
Yeah.
He was basically a poor kid from the Bronx who escaped a situation by joining the Marines and then making his way out to San Francisco, where he tried to reinvent himself. And he rented a flat. He married my mom, who was an artist, and he rented a flat in the richest neighborhood in San Francisco. And I grew up living amongst millionaires, and the mayor lived down the block, and there was a professional polo player across the street.
Really?
And my dad had all his suits tailor-made in London, and wore Italian tailor-made shoes, and had a handlebar mustache, and he was a fast-talking, chain-smoking stockbroker. He was an interesting guy.
Wow. So is that where you got the inspiration to do what you do now, you think? It sounds fantastic, yeah.
Yes. Interestingly enough, we weren't really... we were kind of viewed as the renters in the neighborhood. So ironically, my dad was never really accepted by our neighbors. I think in their eyes, he was always the poor kid from the Bronx, and my mom was the middle class kid from the Sunset. So there was no really, polite hellos, polite goodbyes, no waves across the street. We were kind of almost invisible.
Really?
So I kind of grew up, our whole family was kind of isolated in this neighborhood. So interestingly enough, our family, I spent a lot of time at home in my room, and my family did not listen to music.
They didn't?
There's just no music.
None at all. Wow.
No. And one day I was snooping around the living room, and there was this table with kind of a compartment underneath it and a sliding door. And I slid it open, and I found this entire collection of albums.
What?
And I was, yes. And I started pulling them out, and I started coming. They were names I'd never heard of: Frank
Mhm.
Sinatra, Tony Bennett, Joe Williams, Nancy Wilson, Ella Fitzgerald, Peggy Lee, Nat King Cole, Ray Charles, Bobby Darin. I never heard of them. So I did have a record player in my room because I listened to storybook albums. I don't know if you remember those or not.
Oh,
They
yeah.
had stories on albums. So I snuck my Sinatra record into my room, and I played it, and I was hooked. By the end of the month, I had slipped the entire collection one by one into my room, and I spent the next 10 years listening to those albums, singing along with those albums. And I think that's what really spurred me on to become a actor singer. I eventually, got into school choirs and school musicals
So you've
and
been singing all the way from that
plays.
time. From that time you started singing,
I
and
have.
yeah, and so you're also an actor too. Did that come out of the singing and performing in musicals, or were you an actor first and then you were like, "Oh, I got to go back to that singing"?
Well, I started out as a singer, I
You
think.
did.
I got a guitar at 9. Used to,
Oh, you
if
did.
I had a hammer, I'd be singing in my room. And I'd started with choir. And
Wow.
I was, interestingly enough, I had an excellent choir teacher in junior high school. And she decided to move to a high school at the same time I was moving out of junior high and into high school. So I actually had the same musical teacher for both for junior high school and high school, which is
Rare. Yeah.
7 years
Wow. So
straight,
you
I
had
guess.
somebody that would really focus and really knew you.
Yeah, and so I started with the choir, and then I jumped into musicals.
Hmm.
My first musical was Of Thee I Sing, which was a Gershwin musical, and then I did Oklahoma, the types of musicals you do in high school,
Yeah.
and then that got me interested in acting, and then I got there was a program, performance arts programs for kids in high school. So and they set it up where you go half the day to regular high school, and
Hmm.
you'd get all your academics done. And then you'd all bus from all over the city to the Center for Theater Training,
Oh,
and
what an
they
opportunity
had
that is.
yeah, you spend your afternoons there, and I did a lot of shows there. The one I remember the most was The Gentleman Caller from the Glass Menagerie,
Gosh, menagerie.
and
Yeah.
yeah. So then I went from there on to college,
Yeah.
and was you know had to earn a Bachelor of Arts in theater.
Hmm. And then
So
what? Then
that's
you came
kind of
to,
my
then you went to New York and we were like, and then you were on Broadway right after that, right?
yeah. Well,
I
I
mean,
never
that's the way
made
the
it to
story goes,
Broadway.
right? Not
I hung
yet.
out on
Not
Broadway.
yet.
But yeah, so when I was back then, things were a little bit different. I had noticed that the history of all the stars in Hollywood at that time had basically come from Broadway,
Mm, yeah.
and they went from the stage to the movies,
Yep.
and so my plan was, go to New York,
Yeah.
and it's like the place to be. So after college, I moved to New York, studied acting at Stella Adler's conservatory,
With
and
Stella
HB
Adler
Stud
herself, or what?
I did actually. I took a class
Wow.
from Stella Adler herself.
And
She also had a
HBCUs, huh?
wonderful.
Wow. Yeah. She also had a
She also had
wonderful.
a wonderful um, uh, script interpretation class that was done in this huge auditorium, and hundreds of people came to this weekly class. And she would talk about how to break down a script, and she was quite uh, dramatic and quite fun to watch. And I learned, I to this day, I still would break down scripts exactly the way she taught me to. And then those classes actually became quite costly after a while. So I was moved to another school, HB Studios,
Another famous
and
acting
studied.
studio. Yeah, a lot of people that I have
Yes,
on the show, they were at HB Studios. You know.
yeah, I studied with Herbert Berghoff. There's an actress called Sandy Dennis from up the downstairs, up the down
Up the
staircase.
up the down staircase.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And then there was another gentleman, Earl Hyman, who he played Cosby's father on the Cosby Show, and he was a great teacher.
Really.
Really enjoyed him. So I was,
How are you making a
went
living?
to. Well, it's funny. When I first got there, I didn't work for a little while. I was just concentrating on acting school, but that didn't last very long. The Stella ad was so expensive, and I looked at my bank account one day and went, "Oh my God, I got to get a job." So I went down to the local Bruin Burger across the street from Madison Square Garden, and I got a job as a waiter. Now I lied, and I
Yeah.
told them I had waited before.
Oh my God.
And this turned out to be a huge mistake
It's so hard,
because
especially in New York, right
the
across the street from Madison Square Garden. I imagine it's kind of busy.
oh well, that's actually that's the funny thing is on my very first night, they gave me a table of like 20, a table of 8, and like 2 tables of 4, and a table of 2.
Yeah.
And all simultaneously, and they all were there to see like a concert across the street at the
Oh, so
Madison
they
Square
got to get in
Garden,
and out.
in and out. And I
Oh,
didn't
no.
know what I was doing, and I was running around trying to do things. I was sweating, and all of the time there was this little girl. I'll never forget it. She was 12 years old or so, and she was like sitting there laughing and pointing, going ha 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 ha, ha, ha. And it was like so surreal. And
Nightmare.
I literally, the manager came, everyone was complaining, where's my drinks, where's this, and the manager came over, what's going on? And I literally started to whimper.
It's a
And
horrifying
uh,
situation to be in
uh,
because it's just
the
like,
worst case scenario.
oh
And we
God.
ended up getting all the waiters in the restaurant to come and help me.
Oh, thank
And
God.
the end of the story was that I was actually supposed to be trained,
Oh.
and the assistant manager forgot that. So it was a horrible beginning to
Thank
it.
God.
I eventually left that job. Actually, I was fired. I was fired from about 6 or 7 waiter jobs. I was just a terrible, terrible waiter. It all culminated with me. I was working. I decided, okay, I can't make it as a being a busboy, and
So you became a
I
busboy?
spilled it. I did. And I had
Yeah.
like one of those Russian shirts, that
Yeah.
from the movies, and I spilled an entire canister of cream on Anthony Quinn's lap.
Oh no! No! What happened then?
Yes.
I'm amazed you're alive.
Anthony Quinn was such a gentleman. He probably saw
Really?
how horrified I was. He seemed more concerned about me.
Oh
And but after that, I left that job, and I had a girlfriend at the time,
my God.
and she told me that her brother-in-law was a cab driver.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, bells went off. Bing! This was going to be my next big adventure.
Oh God.
So
Yeah.
I got myself a hack license. I sat down, studied a map of New York for like 2 or 3 weeks until I had the whole map in my head.
Mhm.
And see, in these days there were no cell phones,
Oh my
right?
God. And
So
you
there's
didn't have any
no.
kind of like Google Maps or anything like that. You had to know exactly where everything was. Like,
We had what's that? Thomas's Guide.
Thomas Guy. Oh
And if
yeah.
I really got lost, I'd have to reach back behind the seat and thumb through the guide and find the page
Nightmare.
and find the grid, But but I actually memorized the city. I was always good with maps, so I memorized it, and I started driving initially 5 a.m. to 5 p.m. shifts. Very long days, but the traffic was so bad, and they gave me air conditioned cabs.
Oh,
Which,
no.
If it was 100 degrees outside, it was 150 inside. And I would just sit there and I'd pull a sweat. It's stuck in traffic, and I had it. So I changed to the night shift, to the 5 p.m. to 5 a.m. shift. And so I drove. It was cooler, less traffic, actually more interesting because it was nightlife.
Yeah.
And I did it for 6 years altogether.
Wow. So
I learned a lot.
Can you tell me about your show? Because we're going to run out of time now. I want to have you on again sometime to tell more about this stuff. But I want to hear about your show and how people can go and all that stuff, and what the format is.
Well, my idea is I really love this era. I was out of work during COVID too, and I spent most of that time listening all the live albums of Frank Sinatra, Ella Fitzgerald, Joe Williams, Dean Martin, all of them for hours and hours. Yeah. And I wanted to put together a show that gave the feel that when you walk in, you kind of get the feel like could be the 50s or 60s. And this is a club in Vegas. So, you got the white tablecloths and the candles on the table, and it's set up in that way. And that's the feel I want to give. I love this music. I don't do impressions. I do Richard Gadas, honoring this music. It's very upbeat. I don't do a lot of mid-tempos and upbeat tunes. In this particular show, I'm going to talk a little bit about my life during the show,
cool.
and slip in songs. I even changed one of the lyrics to "King of the Road" by Dean Martin, and I rewrote the lyrics because that's about a tramp who's traveling the trains. I rewrote it for a cab driver in New York.
Oh, that's great. So this is more of like an immersive theatrical experience where you come in and it's like you're going back in time, and then you perform and then you tell stories, and it sounds like it's almost like a one-man show or like a play.
Well, it's a little more relaxed than a play, but it's more of a concert with a little dialogue in between. I don't want to do too much dialogue. I like to keep the show moving with the music. But it is hopefully an immersive experience, and hopefully a lot of fun. My last show was on a Thursday night. The owner liked it so much, he gave me a once a week spot the second Saturday of every month.
Oh, that's cool.
So hopefully that's a good sign.
So this is the thing. It's all in the show notes of how you can go to the performance. Camel and I are going to be there. Hopefully, like some of Hummingbirds will be there. It sounds like a blast, and also the food looks like it's pretty good there.
I had some very good comments about the food, and the room is actually very, very nice too. It's kind of a little bit like a big rectangular Cubana. It's inside, but the windows are open.
Okay,
so
cool.
It's kind of nice.
I'll be there all masked up.
Oh, okay.
I'll mask it up.
Basically sing in the style of Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, Tony Bennett, and Bobby Darin, who I'm a big fan of.
Cool. All right. Thanks, Richard, for being on the show. We're running out of time. We were going to maybe do a quiz, but we just don't have time to do it. But we do have the dance break, and I'm going to play a cover song from this. It's this group called Music Travel Love, and what they do is cover songs, but they do them around the world, and they have like a drone and all this incredible footage of them playing it. But it's pretty simple. It's just two guys and their microphone and their two guitars, and so I want to share that with you. It's an Ed Sheeran song. Just Jay says wear masks. She knows. Here we go. So dance break. We're going to dance it out, and that'll be the end of the show. So thank you so much for being on the show. Hopefully you'll come back on soon.
It's been a blast. I've really enjoyed myself.
All right, cool.
Thank you.
All right, here we go. right, here they are. Music, travel, love. It's not really a dancing kind of song, but we can just enjoy it here.
I found a love for me.
They're in a boat.
Darling, just dive right in and follow my lead. I found a girl.
She is a great storyteller, it's true.
Beautiful and sweet. I never knew you were that someone waiting for me. 'Cause we were just kids when we fell in
Finish the
love.
puzzle, Jay.
Not knowing what
Finish that
it
puzzle.
was. I will not give you up this time. Darling, just kiss me slow. Your heart is all I own. And in your eyes, you're holding mine. Baby, I'm dancing in the
Richard, do you ever sing on the internet? Do you ever do cover songs on the internet?
No, but I've been thinking of doing that. Maybe TikToking my songs.
That'd be nice. I highly encourage you.
Okay. Good. Yeah.
Neil says it needs some slow banjo. Yeah, it's a little slower song this time. Neil likes that. He really likes slow banjo.
Beautiful harmonies.
It is nice.
Stronger than anyone I know. She shares my dreams. I hope that someday I'll share her home. I found a love to carry more than just my secrets, to carry love, carry children of our own. 'Cause we are still kids, but we're so in love, fighting against all odds. I know we'll be alright.
You think they're really recording it out there in that boat? Seems like it.
Darling, just hold
Seems like there'd be a lot of wind, right?
my girl.
I think there must be some post-production in there somewhere.
I see
must
my
be.
future in your eyes. And
Are they brothers?
baby,
It's a good question. I don't know. We'll have to find out more about that.
in the dark with you
They got that Everly
between
Brothers type harmony.
Yeah. Sometimes I'm able to get these people to come on the show, so maybe I'll try and get these guys. They seem to be traveling a lot, but we'll see.
Looking so beautiful, I don't deserve this, darling. You look
All right. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Thank you, Richard, for this. Thank you, Blas, for trying to get on. But we'll see him, and we'll see you all on Friday for more Lunch Therapy.